The African woman is the first human, the first person to have walked upright on earth. Is the Africa took place in Africa, and it was an African woman, the first woman. Therefore, all other races come after. The original of humanity is the African woman and the African man. Every other race is a combination of something else added. And what you are is determined by the womb out of which you came. Not the loins. It's Babylon turning things upside down. Male supremacy turned everything upside down. The woman owns her child. She makes it. The woman, make the child out of her flesh and blood. The man's contribution was a microscopic seed. It's so small you can't even see it with your bare eye. That's his contribution to the building of another human being. All the work was done in the womb, all the building process. All the blood that went in to build that child came from the woman. Whatever she was, that child is. The first sound a child hears is what?
The mother's heartbeat.
Mother's heartbeat. Therefore, the child is the mother. The father is an external force that contributed to the building of that child. So America did not have a black president. America had a white president. As Silvio Berlusconi said, they had a white president with a tan. That's what Berlusconi said. Berlusconi said the American president have a nice tan when Obama was in the White House. You know who Berlusconi is? He was at the time the Italian president. Africa for the Africans, those at home and us abroad. The African people can only ever be at home in Africa, the place where we were created, the home of creation. If you take a mango, I love mangoes, I use this. Right, this island is 144 miles long. Mountains and valleys and serious terrain. Now, if you take a mango from Portland, that originated in Portland, where the climate in Westmoreland is different levels, different everything. So if you take that mango and you plant the seed in Westmoreland, the chances are it will bear if it gets enough water and enough sunlight. But the fruit will never be as luscious as from the tree in Portland. Take that to the African people scattered all around the Western world through slavery, colonialism and imperialism. Our potential as a people, as individuals, as families, as a nation, can never be fulfilled anywhere except in Africa. We are in the Western world using our knowledge, our skill, our strength to build up the white world, the Western world, the world of imperialism and colonialism that brought us here. That is what we do with our strength. Because we are the original people, so remember, we have all the original talents and skills. Everything comes from the African people, all science. The Dogons were checking the stars hundreds of years ago. They're in West Central Africa, the Dogon people. They were studying the stars hundreds of thousands of years ago, before the pharaohs. So whatever, we are the most intelligent, the strongest, the most powerful people on earth, because we're the first people. We're the original, the fullness of the design of humanity. Within us lies all science, all technology. We have been fooled because we made a mistake somewhere on the line and didn't trust ourselves and got ourselves separated from ourselves. So that allowed the aliens to come and conquer. The ones who hate creation, they love inventions. They think creation's rubbish. Just rubbish, garbage. So they rape creation, they rape Mother Earth, now they're raping space. They rape the earth from which all goodness comes. And they turn it into destructive creations to destroy life, because they hate life. So this Congress was founded to bring forward life to the African people, the love of life, the enhancement of life to the first people. Marcus told us about our home, you see. When we didn't know we had a home, we thought we were just slaves in America, slaves in the Caribbean, slaves in Europe, used and kicked about, and if we managed to get a little crumbs from Massa table, we thought we were lucky and we stepped on our brother because we were getting, they taught us that. So Marcus come over 100 years ago, and he said, black people, you don't belong here. Your king is not George the whatever number it was in England at the time. Your king is in Africa. That's where you come from, black people. You are gods, kings and queens, gods and goddess of the earth. You are the first people, therefore you must be the gods. If there are gods in human flesh, then you must be the gods, because you're first. That's what Marcus come, the prophet with the vision. And he said, look to Africa. When a king is crowned in Africa, hail that king. He's your king. Stop glorifying George the 4th or 5th or whatever number it was of England. He's a slave master. So in 1930, Rastafari was crowned. The 225th from the line of Solomon and Sheba, the mother of creation. He rose with he was crowned with his woman beside him, not on his own. He insisted that his woman must be beside him, the first of the emperors of Ethiopia, from 224 from Menelik I to Menelik II. Rastafari was the first one to insist that his woman is crowned beside him when he is crowned emperor. He said the woman it's me and her that has to do the work together, so we have to be crowned together. He disappeared for several days because they wouldn't agree to it. And when they finally agreed to it, he reappeared. And finally he had to crown the woman himself because the church wouldn't crown her. He actually had to take the crown from the Abuna and crown his woman himself, thus breaking down male supremacy and building equality and justice as it was in the beginning. Rastafari. That, if for no other reason, and there are many reasons, but if there were no other reasons, for that action alone, I would hail Rastafari, God and King. And there are so many others. Now, I speak as the meditation comes. Ask questions if you will, and I will speak according to your questions.
Great introduction. So, I know the ladies have questions. So these are all my students, and they are focusing on different areas of academia, but some of them are focusing specifically on Black studies. And so our journey here was to give them another type of knowledge than what they've already acquired. So they have questions, I know, many questions. Our journey includes the study of music, the study of religion, the study of culture, and of course the study of history. So I guess the first question would be, I love that you focus on the woman, right? That the woman is not lower than the man. And so I know the question on all of our minds right now is, well, how come we're here and they're there? So can you give us some knowledge about that?
Well, I am journeying. I am journeying. My journey is to truth. My journey is to the fullness. I don't know all the answers. I know what I have been allowed to know at this stage of my journey. And at this stage of my journey, what I see is that the black man at some point reduced the black woman to a sexual slave, focusing on her flesh rather than her spirit, eliminating her spirit and simply focusing on her as a flesh. That created separation between the oneness, that broke the oneness of the male and female. And that breaking of the oneness brought about weakness and doubt. As I see it so far, through my studies, my meditations, it is a matter of the man having eliminated the spirit of the woman in his meditation and focusing on her only as a flesh created. From there I see the problem of where we are now. Because once the weakness happened between the male and the female, because that's the full strength of life, the man and the woman in oneness. You know, once that's not there. In the world at the moment, we've got to the point where the man is using the woman and the woman is using the man. There's very little cohesion spiritually. It's just a flesh contact going through. This Congress, one of it, I asked King Emmanuel Charles Edwards through a priest. I have to answer as it comes to me. Through a priest, I asked King Emmanuel Charles Edwards, what was the purpose of the Women's Freedom Liberation League, of which I am the voice? That is my office within the Congress given to me by King Emmanuel Charles Edwards. I am the voice of woman. When I asked what it meant, I was told it means I speak King Emmanuel's will, internal and outernal. That's why I live. To speak his will and do his will. Because I cannot speak it if I'm not doing it. That would be hypocrisy. That's religion. Therefore, I and I here to uplift ourselves, to come to know ourselves as African gods and goddesses through the guidance of King Emmanuel Charles Edwards, who is the one who never forgot. He's the ancient one. Sometimes he was called Melchizedek. You see him in the Bible as Melchizedek. Before the Bible, one of his names was Imhotep. The ancient one who never really leaves us. He or she, because it's a male supremacy world that we're living in, the Christ is always spoken of as a male. But over the eons, the Christ, who is the Spirit of truth in flesh, comes in both genders. Because Christ is not a gender. Christ is the Spirit of truth in flesh. The names we learn through the male supremacy writings, some of them, as I said, is Imhotep, way back. But even before that, We learn of Melchizedek in the Bible, where Abraham, the father of Israel, meets him coming from the wars, and he humbles to him, pays him homage. And we meet him again way down in the Bible, because you're all used to the Bible. It's a tool that Melchizedek uses, because the people have been given the Bible, the version, the Europeanized version of the Bible. They stole all the knowledge from Kemet and Timbuktu and all those places where they went to steal and rape and pillage and burn. And then they made it into a convoluted mess and put in their barbarianism and their violence and their stuff in it, and they regurgitated it to us. When they taken us away from all our knowledge, they regurgitated that and gave it to us. So we all know of it. We were all born knowing of it. So Melchizedek used that as a tool, the parts that are relevant to the teaching, to the upliftment of the people, because that's what this is all about. Uplifting the enslaved people to their place of gods and goddess where they were. It's a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. And in order to make that journey, there's roadmap. Because remember, we didn't know where we're coming from.